So imagine this. You pay top dollar to see a Hollywood starlet perform live in a West End musical, only to find out she's outside singing to the street while you're stuck inside watching it on a screen. Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up, because that's exactly what just happened with Rachel Zegler's jaw-dropping debut as Evita in London, and the internet. Oh, they are not having it. And just wait until you hear how this all blew up. We're talking major fan outrage, PR damage, and one very bold director decision that might have just backfired in the most embarrassing way. Let's start at the beginning, because this drama didn't just appear out of thin air. The moment Rachel Zegler was announced as the lead in a brand new West End production of Evita, people were already divided. And not in a, "Oh, wow, what a bold choice" kind of way. This was full-blown internet chaos. Some fans were thrilled. Others, they couldn't believe it. Rachel Zegler as Eva Peron in Evita on the London stage? To understand why this blew up the way it did, you've got to know where Rachel Zegler was coming from. This wasn't just any young actress stepping into a legendary role. This was the same Rachel Zegler who skyrocketed to fame practically overnight. She was plucked from obscurity, literally cast from a Twitter video, to star in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. And let's be real, she was incredible in that. Her voice? Impeccable. Her acting? Award-worthy. She even won a Golden Globe. But here's where things start to get messy. After West Side Story, Rachel became Hollywood's it girl, fast. Too fast, some would say. She booked roles left and right, the live-action Snow White, the Hunger Games prequel, and now Evita. But with the spotlight came scrutiny. And when Rachel opened her mouth outside of her performances, that's when things got bumpy. She became known, fairly or not, for clapping back at critics on social media, making bold political statements, and being unapologetically outspoken. Some loved her fire, others called her arrogant. And then came the Snow White controversy. Oh yes, we're going there. Rachel's Snow White press tour was a PR nightmare. From joking about how the original prince was a stalker to doubling down on how outdated Disney's classic love story was, she unintentionally painted herself as someone who looked down on the very roles she was cast in. Die-hard Disney fans were not amused. Boycotts were called, petitions started. YouTube exploded with anti-woke videos tearing her apart. It wasn't just critics anymore. It was a whole movement of people rooting for her to fail. Yikes. So when Jamie Lloyd, the edgy avant-garde West End director known for pushing the envelope, announced that his Eva Peron would be played by none other than Rachel Zegler, let's just say the internet lit up. Some called it bold casting. Others accused the show of choosing controversy over talent. She's American, they said. She's too young, they said. She's not Latina enough, they said. Every argument you can imagine was thrown at this casting decision. And Rachel? Well, she stayed quiet, at least publicly, but that didn't stop the whispers from getting louder. Here's where things get interesting. Jamie Lloyd didn't just cast Rachel for her vocal range or rising star status. No, he had a whole vision in mind. He wanted to take Evita, a story already soaked in glamour, politics, and tragedy, and strip it down, modernize it, recontextualize it. He wanted to show the duality of Eva Peron, the woman loved by the people and the woman performing for power. So what did he do? He designed a show where Rachel's biggest moment, "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," wouldn't even be seen by the people who paid to see it. We'll get to that in the next section, because that move caused absolute chaos. But first, let's sit with the tension. Because as opening night approached, the anticipation was through the roof. Everyone wanted to know, would Rachel Zegler sink or soar? Let's not forget, Evita isn't just any role, it's sacred. Patti LuPone made it iconic. Madonna made it cinematic. Eva Peron was a real-life political figure, worshipped by some, despised by others. Playing her isn't just about hitting the high notes, it's about presence, power, charisma. You don't just sing Eva, you embody her. And Rachel, despite all the criticism, was stepping into those shoes. Rehearsal photos started to trickle out. Rachel in sleek black costumes, hair pulled back, a spotlight on her face, and the whispers started to shift. Some critics who got early previews hinted that Rachel's performance was unexpectedly commanding. Her vocals? Controlled but emotional. The Guardian even teased that this production of Evita might be one of the most daring interpretations the West End had seen in years, and that's when the narrative started to turn, at least slightly, but not everyone was convinced. Many fans, especially those who had followed the show from its announcement, were skeptical about the venue itself. The London Palladium, yes, is iconic, but rumors started swirling that the production was different, that it wouldn't follow traditional staging, that something big was going to happen during Don't Cry For Me Argentina. And Rachel? She gave no spoilers, not in interviews, not on socials. She just let the tension build. And build it did. Opening night came. The theater was packed. Paparazzi waited outside. Influencers took their seats, cameras ready to go, and the moment Rachel stepped on stage, all eyes were on her. You could practically feel the judgment in the air. Every note, every move, every breath was being measured. And then, right when everyone thought they were about to witness that iconic moment, it happened. Rachel Zegler, in her most pivotal scene, walked off the stage and headed outside. That's right, outside. But what she did out there? That's what caused the real drama. And trust me, what happened next had people fuming. Ticket holders were left stunned, fans on the street were screaming, and social media exploded. Ready for the twist? Let's get into it. So here's where everything went sideways. The audience at the London Palladium was buzzing. Rachel Zegler finally making her West End debut as Eva Peron. The lights, the music, the drama, this was the moment they'd been waiting for. And for ticket holders, some of whom paid up to £150 for premium seats, this wasn't just any night out. This was supposed to be theatrical history. But just as the familiar opening notes of Don't Cry For Me Argentina began to swell, something strange happened. Rachel, in full Eva regalia, white suit, tight bun, powerful stance, walked off the stage. Not metaphorically, literally. She exited, and instead of standing on stage under the iconic Palladium lights, belting the most famous number in the entire musical to a captive audience, she stepped out onto the building's actual balcony, facing the street. And then, she began to sing, loud, clear, radiant, but not for the audience inside, for the crowd gathered outside on Argyle Street. Yes, you heard that right. Rachel Zegler sang Don't Cry For Me Argentina. Live, not to the people who paid to be there, but to random pedestrians, tourists, people who didn't even know the show was happening, people just walking by. And the inside audience? They were left watching the whole thing on a screen. A big, flat projection of Rachel's performance beamed in live from outside, like a live stream, from the lobby. Cue the chaos. At first, it wasn't clear if this was part of the show or a technical mishap. People looked around, confused. Some thought it might be an immersive gimmick. But as the song went on and Rachel poured her heart into the performance, arms outstretched, serenading the London skyline, it hit them. This wasn't a temporary thing. This was intentional. Inside the theater, gasps turned to murmurs. Murmurs turned to whispers. And whispers turned into full-blown outrage. Imagine paying for orchestra seats, only to end up watching the most important part of the show on a screen, while the star is outside singing to strangers who paid nothing. For some audience members, it felt like a slap in the face. For others, it was artistic betrayal, and it didn't take long for the internet to catch on. Within minutes, clips of Rachel on the balcony flooded Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. Pedestrians who didn't even know who she was were suddenly uploading videos with captions like, "I just saw someone singing from a balcony?" Apparently, it was Snow White? One video showed tourists literally dancing to the music outside while the actual theater audience was left inside trying to process what had just happened. One fan on X, formerly Twitter, wrote, "Paid £120 for Evita and watched Rachel Zegler on a TV screen. Meanwhile, some dude eating a kebab got the live show for free. Make it make sense." Another posted a video of themselves leaving the theater early with the caption, "I didn't pay to see a live stream. She could have done this on YouTube." And then came the drama in the comment sections. People were furious. Not just disappointed, furious. The production was quickly labeled pretentious, tone deaf, and a masterclass in alienating your own audience. Some tried to defend it. A few theater critics praised the move as a brilliantly subversive statement, suggesting it reflected Eva Perón's public persona, the idea that her love was always directed outward, toward the people. But most regular fans weren't having it, and they had a point. Because here's the kicker. The production team knew this would be controversial. According to several insiders, Jamie Lloyd's team had choreographed the entire balcony performance from the beginning. It wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't a surprise. It was a calculated choice. A statement. But who was the statement for? Some say it was meant to honor Eva's legacy, how she addressed the people of Argentina from a literal balcony during her political reign. Others say it was a metaphor, portraying Eva as someone disconnected from the elites inside the palace. Theater, while maintaining a bond with the masses outside. A bold artistic concept, sure. But was it fair to the paying audience? And what about Rachel herself? That's where things get even messier. To her credit, she performed the scene with absolute commitment. You can't deny her vocals were strong, her body language was commanding, and the visuals, absolutely striking. But her silence afterward? Deafening, and she didn't address the backlash. No tweet, no Instagram post, no backstage selfie with a "Thank you, London" caption. And for someone as chronically online as Rachel, that absence was noticeable. It gave the impression, rightly or wrongly, that she was avoiding accountability. Meanwhile, inside the theater, some fans were literally in tears. One woman interviewed by Metro said she brought her teenage daughter to see Rachel perform live, her daughter's idol, and was devastated that her only chance to see her hero sing ended up being on a screen. "We could have stayed home and watched it on YouTube," she said. Other ticket holders demanded partial refunds. And believe it or not, a Change.org petition popped up demanding the production be restaged with Rachel performing inside the theater for all future shows. Hundreds of signatures rolled in within hours. But this was more than just a fan tantrum, it was a warning sign. Because theater audiences are loyal, but they're not stupid. They know the difference between creative innovation and gimmickry, and when they feel duped, they speak up, loudly. Especially online. By the next morning, Rachel Zegler's name was trending on Twitter, alongside hashtags like #EvitaFail, #BalconyGate, and #RefundEvita. TikTok was flooded with reaction videos, stitch rants, and side-by-side comparisons of Rachel's outdoor performance versus classic on-stage ones. People were even comparing the moment to Fyre Festival, jokingly calling it the theater version of being fed a cheese sandwich. And here's where it gets even wilder. Some insiders began whispering that this wasn't just a one-night decision. The Evita team planned to do this for the entire run. That's right, every performance would feature Rachel exiting the building mid-song and serenading the street instead of the paying audience. The backlash got so intense that some ticket resale sites began offering discounts. Sales reportedly slowed. Word of mouth, once theater's most powerful marketing tool, started to turn toxic. Meanwhile, the people on the street, they were loving it. Rachel's performance clips went viral, not because of the musical, but because of the spectacle. People who had never seen Evita, who didn't even know who Eva Perón was, were now reposting Rachel's video with captions like, "I didn't pay a cent and still got chills." The irony? the show's boldest moment, meant to be symbolic, was doing the exact opposite of what the team intended. It didn't connect with the audience. It divided them. It didn't elevate Rachel. It made her the face of an artistic choice she may not have even controlled. And it didn't make history. It sparked a PR nightmare. And yet, the drama wasn't over. Because what came next wasn't just audience backlash, it was industry whispers, agent gossip, Hollywood reactions, and something much bigger brewing behind the scenes. Let's talk about that in Section 3, because if you think this ends with angry fans and refund requests, you haven't seen the ripple effect this is having on Rachel's career, her next major projects, and her already fragile relationship with the public. When the lights went down and the audience exited the London Palladium that night, they weren't just talking about Rachel Zegler's voice or the creative direction of Evita. They were talking about betrayal, about disappointment, about feeling played. And the backlash didn't end at the theater steps. It was just getting started. Because what happened after the show wasn't just a typical wave of social media complaints. This was a reckoning, the kind that doesn't just blow over, the kind that sticks. And in the days that followed Rachel's now infamous balcony performance, the conversation turned ugly, fast. By the next morning, nearly every major entertainment outlet had picked up the story. Headlines ranged from Rachel Zegler's West End debut leaves fans furious to did Evita just pull the most tone-deaf theater stunt of the year? Even mainstream British outlets like The Telegraph and The Evening Standard ran op-eds questioning the artistic choice. The buzz wasn't about her talent. It wasn't about the show's themes. It was about the audacity of the production's biggest moment being given away, for free, to the street. Hollywood insiders started chiming in too, many anonymously, of course. Some praised Rachel for her bravery in taking on such a controversial role with full commitment, but others weren't so kind. "She's already on thin ice after the Snow White mess," one talent agent reportedly told The Wrap. "This might be the last straw for a lot of studios watching her brand unravel in real time." And there it is, the B word, brand. Because Rachel Zegler's career isn't just about acting or singing, it's about narrative control, about how she's perceived by fans, press, and most importantly, executives. And unfortunately for her, that control has been slipping more and more with every project. Let's not forget, before Evita, Rachel was already walking a tightrope. The Snow White backlash wasn't just a few angry fanboys. It became a cultural flashpoint. Her comments about the original film, her perceived attitude in interviews, and her association with the woke Hollywood elite made her a lightning rod. When the studio delayed the movie and the press tour fizzled, many blamed her directly. It wasn't fair, but it was real. Then came the whispers about her behavior on sets. Alleged diva moments, refusals to do press, arguments with producers. Nothing confirmed, but enough smoke to raise eyebrows. Add to that a fandom that started turning on her, not because of her work, but because of how she presented her work. There's a fine line between confidence and condescension, and many felt Rachel had crossed it. So when Evita came along, it was supposed to be her redemption arc, a fresh start, a new audience, a chance to prove that she could hold her own on a legendary stage, take on a legendary role, and do it with grace. Instead, it became Balcony Gate. And the question everyone's asking now is, can she recover? Some PR experts think so, but only if she moves fast. She needs to address this head-on, one crisis manager told Variety. No more radio silence, no cryptic Instagram stories. She needs to go on camera, thank the fans, explain the artistic choice, and show some humility. Because right now, the optics are brutal. But as of this writing, still nothing from Rachel. No statement, no Q&A, no apology to fans who felt cheated. Just silence. Meanwhile, her fan base is fracturing. On Reddit and TikTok, former supporters are now openly dragging her. "I used to love her," one user posted, "but she just keeps giving off this 'you're lucky to see me' energy. Girl, we paid. You owe us more than a balcony stunt." Another viral TikTok stitch racked up over 800,000 views in 24 hours with the caption, "Rachel Zegler just made history," as the first actress to go viral for ignoring her paying audience. Harsh? Absolutely. But this is the age of receipts and reactions, and when public perception turns, it turns fast. But there's another layer to this, and it's one Rachel probably didn't expect. The industry itself is watching, because for every fan ranting on TikTok, there's a casting director, a streaming executive, or a Broadway investor reading those same headlines. And for them, it's not just about Rachel's talent anymore, it's about risk. She was already a gamble after the Snow White situation. Disney delayed the film by a year, largely to let the controversy die down, but it hasn't. If anything, it's gotten worse. And now, with Evita becoming a meme instead of a masterpiece, the question becomes, who's going to take the next chance on her? Especially when other young actresses, less controversial, equally talented, are waiting in the wings. And let's not forget her peers. There's a whole crop of up-and-coming stars who are watching this unfold, likely with a mix of sympathy and quiet relief, because Rachel Zegler was once the blueprint, the dream, discovered on social media, cast by Spielberg, instantly famous. But now, she's a cautionary tale. Even journalists are starting to point out the Zegler trajectory, the rise and fall of a Gen Z starlet in the age of viral outrage. The term has started appearing in think pieces, a talented young woman thrust into fame, unprepared for the backlash, and unwilling or unable to adjust her public persona. But here's the real tea. Rachel's story isn't over, not even close. Because despite the backlash, she's still got projects in the pipeline. Snow White is still slated for release. Delays and all, she's still booked for interviews, still on the books with top-tier agents. And if she plays her cards right, Evita could still be her moment of reinvention. Controversial? Yes, but also talked about, shared, remembered. Remember. Showbiz loves a comeback. If Rachel were to take this criticism seriously, acknowledge the misstep, and course correct with even a hint of vulnerability, the same fans dragging her today might be praising her tomorrow. The industry isn't heartless, it's just reactive. The real question is, will she change? Because right now, Rachel Zegler is at a crossroads. One path leads to redemption, embracing the backlash, learning from it, evolving. The other, it leads deeper into the trap of overexposure, misjudged choices, and a brand that feels more curated than connected. And you better believe producers are already having these conversations. Studio execs are reportedly re-evaluating how to market Snow White. Discussions are allegedly being held behind the scenes about toning down Rachel's press visibility, maybe even refocusing the film's marketing on the dwarves or the prince instead. Anything to avoid putting her in the spotlight again before she's ready. Even the West End producers are in crisis mode. Rumors suggest the creative team behind Evita may now tweak future performances, possibly having Rachel perform from inside the theater for certain shows. Refund requests are piling up. One theater forum claims some people are canceling their entire trips to London after hearing about the balcony controversy. And while all of this plays out, Rachel remains silent. Is it strategic? Is she regrouping? Or is she simply hoping the storm passes on its own? Time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this moment, this performance, this backlash, this social media frenzy will define Rachel Zegler's career for years to come. Because in an industry that feeds on fame but bleeds out scandal, every choice matters. Every comment counts. Every balcony performance can either be genius or a disaster. And Rachel, she's teetering on the edge of both. So whether you love her, hate her, or just can't stop watching her, one thing's clear. Rachel Zegler isn't just performing Evita. She's living it. Right now. In real time. Under the spotlight. And the world? It's watching. Every single note.